welcome to our podcast, Simply Be Kind. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is a series of conversations with people about kindness. We hope that today's episode inspires you to do one kind thing today because it's easy to simply be kind. I'm going to put out a specific kind of disclaimer here. This podcast is going to be a little corporate. It's going to talk about leaders at work, or more specifically, how leaders can be kind leaders, how they need to choose kindness. If you are a manager already, then this podcast should share insights into how to deal with difficult situations with kindness. If you're just starting out, maybe this podcast will help you gain perspective about the role of a manager. I chose this topic because I thought it was super important for leaders who run our businesses, who run our world, to be kind. In our previous season, we spoke about burnout, and then we received the following message.
Just like you, I resonated with all the symptoms. Initially, it was just me not being mentally stimulated by my work, but even being put on terrible assignments where your growth is stunted, it can cause burnout. I literally used to have a lot of heartburn and acidity every day. You won't believe it, but trust me, whatever Sanika described, I was suffering of extreme burnout at work back at my previous job. And I had to take melatonin tablets to go to sleep. Even now, I've tried reaching out to my boss to put me on better assignments, but then there's so much red tape involved. I feel like I'm burning myself out doing these things that I don't even like to do.
That was a hard chat to read. I want to say that I can't imagine work stress getting that rough, but honestly, I can. Sometimes I was given tasks to do that, a high school student or an intern could do, and my skills felt worthless. That tells us one thing: people need good leaders. People need leaders who truly understand them. Leaders need to be kind. In fact, one of the leading complaints of toxic jobs can be reduced to just one factor: that the leaders lacked kindness. 96% of the employees that took part in a survey said that being kind at work was important to them, suggesting kindness at work does matter if an organization wants to succeed. So then we agree that it's important for leaders to be kind. I have with me Shinmin Bali, a journalist and a content marketer, and currently a deputy editor at YouGov. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Tanas. Thank you for having me, and it is lovely to be speaking to you today.
Same here. So, both of us have had the experience of joining companies in a team where we felt both good and bad leadership, and have been team leaders where we've also had to deal with difficult situations as a leader. I thought I could share my experience first, where I worked at this recruitment company and I learned about this thing called high potential talent, which basically means that you are someone that is just constantly challenged and you want to be constantly challenged. While there are other people that just want to cruise by. And I think that leaders need to know how to lead either of them. Would you agree? And how do you think we should be kind to either of them?
I think it's a mix, right? When a leader is leading, they're not leading individuals every day. They're leading a team, and the individuals are part of the team. So a team could be as strong as its weakest member. So while a team may have the highest performing people there and also the weakest, the highest performing person is typically self-motivated, or they have enough motivation from various sources that they're getting to do their job well. Probably that's not the case with the weakest member of the team or some of the low performing ones. The kindness there would be to sit with them, to help them identify what's not working for them.
Okay.
If it is realistic, if it is in the interest of the employee as well as the company as well as the leader, there can be a sort of mutually agreeable solution that they can arrive at. But if it turns out that the weakest performing member has simply lost motivation and do not see growth or their future in the company, then it's a much clearer picture.
In fact, during the pandemic, the biggest keyword shouldn't have been new normal. I mean, how many times did we hear that? The buzzword should have been to be kind. I mean, how important is kindness in the workplace? In moments of dire desperation, what else could we need apart from kindness? What do you do when a teammate of yours isn't performing well? How do you have these difficult conversations kindly? I remember you once told me about this teammate of yours who was not performing well, and it was really impacting the team. And your company was changing the system, and they just couldn't cope. What kind of conversation did you have then?
It's much more sensible to have a conversation, figure out whether something again is fixable or not fixable. If you can help them as their leader or team member to fix it, then it's fine. But what happened was there was a realization that no matter how much we helped them and we had gone through the helping process, things could not be improved beyond a point. You sort of then make a picture clear about what their role could develop into, or what struggles they could eventually face when the work gets even more difficult. But soon enough the person realized that uh, this wasn't a way of us telling them that they can't do a job. It was just a way of us telling them that they are better suited to do a different kind of job. So now they've moved on to another role which suits their skill sets much better, because they were good at writing and not really at numbers. So now they are in a position where they can sort of optimize on their writing skills and be a better employee for a company.
I actually really liked the point where you said that it's not about them personally, because everyone does have their own set of skills, and maybe what doesn't work for them in this company will work brilliantly for another company. So I think that
Exactly.
I I'm again assuming, but I think that would have really put a lot of that would have really helped the person's morale again, because then they're not looking at it as I'm not good enough, I'm not good at doing something. You're looking at, okay, this is not a right fit for me. Let me try somewhere else, and there is still hope for a better thing.
Exactly, because it's not a personality analysis or it's not a personal equation. They are not, in that case, they weren't dealing with me as an individual, right? I'm the representative of the company, and so are they. So it's two representatives of a company dealing with each other. So
Yeah.
they can't take anything personally, and neither should I. So if I think that is a spirit in which you deal with people in an organization, in your sort of personal life, I think things will be sort of much more simpler, and it makes it very easy then to be empathetic and to be kind to people, because then you understand how much to take things personally.
Right, that makes sense. And you actually have a varied group of listeners from who are in different part of their careers. And I have some people that have quit their jobs very early on and are freelancing, and then some that are doing like the 9 to 6, and like some people are like proper leaders. And I think, and I hope that this story resonates with people who are current leaders or future leaders. And what I've noticed is that there are certain ways to treat employees, and there are certain ways you can treat employees with kindness, but the way you've treated even like a bad employee with kindness, I thought that was really good. There's also this universal recognition that kindness enhances the acceptance of a leader, because it promotes cognitive learning about human behavior, and it also helps in building character of the leader. Yeah. People also, I wish that leaders knew, or maybe not leaders, but I think just people at work. I wish people at work knew how advantageous it is to be kind, because it has such a great impact at the workplace, because your employees are happy, and when they're happy then they are more motivated and they're more likely to commit a much bigger quality, a much greater quality of output. And when they're happy, when they're motivated, they're kind to each other, and when they're kind to each other, then you build your better trust, and you build loyalty, and you build dependability. That works really great for team bonding, and it also improves productivity, which means there is space for innovative thinking, which is so brilliant. And of course, you know that a happy employee also means a happy customer, especially if they're customer centric and customer focused. So it's really a no brainer about why leaders and why companies and why people should be kind to each other in the workspace.
I completely agree. I mean, everything that you said, it adds to the employer brand value of a company, right?
I think we had a really amazing conversation about kindness and how leaders need to be kind. And I really hope that our listeners and our viewers get some key takeaways from this. Thank you so much for coming and making it to our podcast.
Thank you so much. Good luck with the podcast.
Thank you so much for listening to the Simply Be Kind podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, can you do us a huge favor and rate and review it? Because it helps more listeners find the show. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, or whatever platform you use. Each episode is under production for around a month, and hence we only release it once a month. So it's a huge help if you can take your time to review it and share the episode with your friends and on social media. And of course, be sure to check out our page, Kind Hearts Brigade, on social media, where we aim to have more conversations surrounding everyday kindness. If you have any thoughts on today's episode, or you have topics that you would want us to further touch upon, reach out to me on Instagram. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.